Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warcraft Legion Beta. I am Severin and now we are taking a look at Arcane Mages. So next up, Frost Mages. Frost, I feel, is the spec that most strongly resembles the version on WoD right now. Arcane had some minor changes, Fire's gone through some pretty significant overhauls. Frost, basically the same, not much is different, I feel. Uh, You have your Frostbolt, Frozen Orb, Ice Lance, talent ability Comet Storm. I think it's on live. So we'll go right into talents here. First row, we have Ray of Frost, which is a channeled spell for 10 seconds. You channel a beam of ice at an enemy, slows their movement by 50%, and it deals 27,000 frost damage every 1 second, essentially. And every time it deals damage, its damage increases by 20%. So kind of a ramp up spell here. Not sure how it's going to interact or compare to the other talents here, but I've got it selected because it's a pretty cool looking spell. Next we have Lonely Winter, which makes my hackles rise as a Warlock fan because this is basically Grimoire of Sacrifice for mages. If you just hate your stupid water elemental, you can sacrifice it and it will boost the damage of all of your other spells by 19%. So if you don't like Blizzard's pet AI, this might be the spell for you. And finally we have Bone Chilling is a passive. When you attempt to chill a target, you gain Bone Chilling, increases all the frost damage you deal by 0.5% for 6 seconds. Stacks up to 12 times, so I'm assuming on boss fights where you'll have this up full time, you'll probably looking at a 6% passive damage increase with this talent. Could be nice. Level 30 rows are the same as Arcane Mages. We have Shimmer, which is just Blink on steroids. Cauterize does the same thing it does on live, and Cold Snap gives Ice Block 2 charges and heals you. Pretty straightforward. Level 45 row, also the same for Arcane. Mirror Image does what it does. Rune of Power lasts 10 seconds, but gives a 50% damage boost. Pretty substantial, as I've commented previously. And Enchantress Flow does the same thing it does on live. The level 60 row, we have Ice Nova, which is an AoE spell that deals damage to all enemies within 8 yards of the primary target. It also freezes them, and the primary target will take 100% increased damage. So that's seems like a pretty useful talent you have there. You also have Frozen Touch, which immediately generates 2 charges of Fingers of Frost. This, I feel, is kind of the burst ability of the row. It's on a 30-second cooldown, so that's what that is. And then finally, you have Splitting Ice is a passive. Your Ice Lance and Icicles deal increased damage, and they also cleave onto a target for half the damage they deal. So like I said, this is basically your cleave talent here, I feel. The level 75 row, again, Ice Flows is the only one I'd imagine you'd use in a PvE environment. Maybe Ring of Frost, but Ice Flows, casting on the move, always nice. Ring of Frost does what it does, and Ice Ward gives Frost Nova 2 charges. The level 90 row, we have Frost Bomb, which behaves the same way it does on live, I believe. So not much to do there. It causes your ice lances that benefit from shatter. So if you got Fingers of Frost and hit an enemy with Frostbomb on it, it'll release a wave of freezing damage to the target and all targets within 10 yards of them. So that's pretty straightforward, I feel. We have Unstable Magic, does what it does on live. And Arctic Gale, again, they're kind of stealing old Warlock talents here and giving them to mages. This one reminds me of Manaroth's Fury from Mop. Increases Blizzard's damage by 30% and its area of effect by 20%. Again, if this seems familiar to you and you've played a Warlock before, it's because this used to be a spell that affected Rain of Fire back in Mop. Fuck you, Blizzard, taking away all of our toys and giving them to mages. Fuck you. And finally, in the last row, we have Thermal Void. It's a passive. Casting Ice Lance extends your icy veins by 2 seconds. Kind of similar to the Mage ability. We have Glacial Spike, which conjures a massive spike of ice and merges your current icicles into it, and hits the target for massive damage, plus the damage stored in your icicles, and freezes them in place for 4 seconds. This requires 5 icicles to cast, and as an additional effect, Ice Lance will no longer launch your icicles, you just have to launch them with this. So, could be an interesting interaction there, if that's what you prefer. And the last one is Comet Storm. Calls down 7 icy comets around the target. Each one deals some damage to all enemies within 4 yards of its impact. So, basic AoE ability, I think. And for our artifact talent here, we have Ebon Chill. That's a nifty looking staff. The basic artifact ability is Ebon Bolt. It deals some Shadow Frost damage, good chunk of it, about 200,000, and grants you 2 charges of Fingers of Frost. Pretty simple. Feel like that's going to be kind of a burst ability, so you hit that and then you got your Ice Lances ready to go. You also have Black Ice, gives the artifact weapon a chance to empower icicles, increasing their damage done by 100%, so doubling the damage you do. Works for me. It's Cold Outside is a passive. Your Water Elemental's Water Bolt has a 10% chance to generate a charge of Fingers of Frost, or if you've taken Lonely Winter to get rid of your Water Elemental, then all of your damaging spells will have a chance to deal 4% increased damage instead of generating Fingers of Frost charge. And the last one, Chilled to the Core, activating Icy Veins, encasing you in ice, which just buffs your damage by 20%. So, and in addition to the haste buff, you're also getting a straight up damage buff. Could be pretty cool. Pretty straightforward. Just a nice, hey, I'm doing more burst during my burst. So, there you go. The way it plays out, I feel, is exactly the same as it does on live. It just feels slower to me. Maybe that's just the lack of haste in these early builds. Maybe it's Blizzard changing the design up a little bit, but it definitely does feel slower to me. We'll get an Ebon Bolt off. That'll give you Fingers of Frost. And I use Ice Comet instead because I'm a huge dork. And here is Ray of Frost. I'm charging my laser. You can see it's damage ramping up. And we got Finger of Frost. And that's basically Frost Mages for you. See you guys next time where we will be taking a look at Fire Mages, my favorite mage spec. See you then.